Don't you wish you were as popular as that last post you just saw? Don't you wish you were just as noticed and had as many followers and likes and shares on your post or your video about that food you made at home tonight? Right? Don't you wish? I mean, when I was a kid, I would do anything to be seen as popular. When I was a kid or a teenager, man, all I wanted to do was to be noticed. And I learned a lot of things, like I'm willing to do a lot to be noticed. I remember as a kid, I used to go try and play sports that I had no business playing, nor did I even enjoy, just so I could get a certain group of friends to notice me, to like me. I remember when I was a kid, for the first time that I smoked just to be noticed and welcomed into a certain group of friends. I also remember the first time that I made fun of somebody to get a laugh, to get a certain group of friends to notice me, and I really hurt that person's feelings. And I remember how horrible that made me feel, but how also I was so desperate to be popular, I didn't care at the time. How about you? What was something you did when you were younger to get noticed, that you tried to do to be popular? What was something that someone convinced you to do, like a dare or something crazy that you hoped people would notice you for? You know, we started a series just recently in our student ministry here at Christ Church of Flagstaff called Popular. And, you know, like you would expect, it addresses the issues of popularity and influence for teenagers. And I can just feel and hear all the adults in the room saying, yes, teach those teenagers about, you know, popularity and peer pressure. That's all so important, right? And for you adults, I don't want to talk to teenagers right now. I want to talk to you adults. I want to talk to all of you who could watch this and remind you of a simple truth. How much is popularity still honestly driving everything you're doing right now? And driving your job, your career, your family, how you look, how you dress, what you buy, what you don't buy. I mean, how much of our life is driven still by being popular? Here's one thing. Just one thing I want to share with you, and it's something that I hope helps you as much as it's helping me. What I remember as a kid is that when I was trying to be popular, I started to try to play basketball with this group of friends that I really wanted to like me. And the thing is, I'm not someone who's ever enjoyed basketball. Even to this day, I just can't get myself to like it. No matter how hard I try, whether I watch it or play it, I just can't get into it. And you know, it's so funny. Like, even as a grown-up, I'm 33 years old. I have a wife and a child. I have a happy life. And yet there's this part of me that just feels like I'm incomplete because I don't enjoy or get excited about basketball, right? And I remember as a kid trying so hard, forcing myself to play, and I'm so bad. I was so horrible at basketball. But I tried so hard to pretend. And you know, deep down, I would have rather been playing somewhere else. Like in elementary school, I would have rather been on the swings with other people. I would have rather been running around pretending I was a dinosaur or something. Actually, as a matter of fact, my favorite thing to do as a kid, instead of playing basketball, was drawing dinosaurs and like drawing a picture of a T-Rex eating a car or something. Like that would have been the group of friends I wanted to hang out with. But I didn't want those kids to like me. I wanted the cool kids to like me. So I forced myself to play basketball, and some part of me shut down. And that's what I want to say to you right now as an adult. Maybe you're watching this and you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And are there things in your life that you're doing that are shutting down some of the best parts of you? Because it would be better to be important. It would be better to be noticed. I mean, of course, you don't care how many friends you have on social media or likes or shares. Of course, you don't care about those things, right? But our whole life right now is dominated by that and by being noticed and seen. And I'm just reminded today of a very simple thing Jesus once taught us. He said, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again?" And I think what's interesting is to look at Jesus for a minute. And do you realize that Jesus, that God in the flesh, complimented you, probably the best compliment you'll ever be given in your life? He looked at you, he looked at me, he looked at all of us, and he said, "You're the salt of the earth." He thinks you're the thing that adds flavor to life. I mean, God's perspective of you and I is the way we are and who we are and all of the funky ways we're wired. He goes, man, you're the salt of the earth. You're the thing that adds flavor to what's going on in the world. When you ask God what he loves about the world, he loves everything. But the thing he says is the flavor, the seasoning to life is humans, people, you and me. And when you and I lose our saltiness, when we begin to live for all of the other things that we think give us validation instead of the validation we could get from just knowing that God values us, God loves us. See, you and I, we lose our saltiness every time we don't pretend, like, how do I say it? Here's the better way to say it. You and I lose our saltiness when we're not willing to be honest. You and I lose our saltiness when we're not willing to, like, just tell people what we're really feeling and thinking, and to feel like so afraid that what are they going to do when they finally hear what's going on inside of me? What are they going to do when they finally find out that my opinion about this is different than theirs? That is when you and I lose our saltiness. For those of you who are an adult and you're a follower of Jesus, I want to ask you, how salty are you and I? Are you and I willing to talk about Jesus? Which, by the way, being a Christian is a great way to be popular in our culture today, our American 21st century culture. I mean, if you're on a singles dating app and you put you're a Christian, that is like a good check mark for you, right? I mean, if you're a politician and you're trying to get certain votes in certain parts of the country, you carry a Bible with you at those places so that people can say you're a Christian, right? But let's be honest, that's the kind of safe Christianity that gives you popularity points. I'm talking about, well, exactly what our church has been talking about. The idea of, like, what if you could have a conversational relationship with God where you just ongoing in your life talk with God? Are you willing to tell people that that's what you do with your free time? Are you willing to admit to people that you do talk to God and you're actually counting on him and putting your confidence in him for life and success and happiness, not in other things? That's not popular Christianity. Hey, I'm actually choosing to not sleep around with whoever I want. I'm actually choosing to honor people and look at them more than for their physicality. That's not the kind of Christianity that gets you points in the world. But just saying you're Christian, that's always nice, right? I want to challenge us. Some of us think that our lives are not governed by popularity. We pretend that that's something that teenagers deal with. But I just want to remind you tonight that Jesus said to you, just the way you are, even your quirkiness and all those ways that maybe you don't like basketball like me, but you pretend to, or all those ways that you try to pretend you have more money than you do, so you have credit card debt, and all those ways that you pretend that your kids are perfect and they're not. Jesus looks at you with all that and he says, you're the salt of the earth. Don't lose your saltiness. Stop pretending to be someone you're not. Let's you and I give ourselves permission the next time, whether we're face to face in person or talking to each other on the phone, let's just give each other permission to be honest. Let's give each other permission to not pretend, and let's never lose our saltiness.